Okay, great. Thank you, Alianza Shir. And last but not least, Mpanta solar mini projects. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nkumbula, and I'm representing Zambia. Well, it's a pleasure to receive this award and, of course, to present the project to you so that we can share ideas and also people can get to know what's happening in Mpanta. I represent a cooperative called the Kafita Cooperative, and we've been running this project, Mpanta Solar Mini Grid, for the last 5 years now. Before we started, it was actually, an idea where the government has plans to set up a project which would want to see, scale up renewable energy, integrations for communities that are, living in marginalized communities and, that are in the far-flung areas where the grid cannot actually reach them. So before we started this, we actually wanted to have a project that is going to have a holistic approach in terms of actually addressing the real needs on the ground. Because, this was a project in Zambia that was never implemented anywhere at that time. The absence of sustainable energy is the greatest challenge in fighting poverty. So this is a true fact because, this community, before we implemented this project, we had challenges with, children, they were unable to read during the night. Of course, the issues of candles and kerosene lights that were being used. I'm going to take you briefly to look at the areas that we're going to address. So the first one, of course, is the background. Okay, just, yeah. So the absence of sustainable energy is the greatest challenge in fighting poverty. So this is a true fact because, this community, before we implemented this project, we had challenges with, children, they were unable to read during the night. Of course, the issues of candles and kerosene lights that were being used. And of course, women had a challenge in terms of accessing energy because they didn't have any alternative. As you can see, that woman is using a solar panel, broken solar panel from somewhere from China. So it was a drastic, situation. And we also had challenges in terms of food processing. As you can see, that woman, she's using some kind of a tree which is curved out inside to actually process her meal, which is supposed to be eaten maybe at lunch. So it is a struggle for most of the social impacts, related to this are quite real on the ground. So we also had, situations affecting the environment. There's issues of processing, which is also a critical area, which is affecting the environment. The village where we've implemented this project is actually located along the wholly owned lake in Zambia, which is called the Lake Bangweulu. It's in the northern region of Zambia. And you find that most of the people that are in this area, they actually use wood, or we can call it firewood, to actually process the fish in the lake. So you can imagine what used to happen in the forest for these trees. So this is a business that is done by mostly women. They go into the fishing camps where they sell this, which is actually used for processing the fish or smoking the fish. So there are also negative impacts to the environment. Then over the years, of course, this has caused a lot of problem in terms of the fishing stocks. So because this is the main economic activity in the area, so you find that the fish in the lake has depleted over the years. And due to also overpopulation and other challenges, this has actually caused a lot of problem in that the economic conditions cannot allow, people to easily trade because the soil in the area is not that good for agriculture. They have to use, rely on government subsidies, for them to have access to inputs that can allow them to grow their crops, for them to be profitable. Then we also had challenges, of course, in businesses. Many small businesses could not trade, profitably. So this posed all sorts of challenges on the ground. Yes, we truly had a lot of issues to deal with. There was already poverty rates, as according to the World Bank, of about 91%, and 3.5% rural electrification access rates. And also the doubled population, of course, as I said earlier, they reduced the stocks in the lakes. So these are some of the challenges that we had to address. So to actually, reduce, all these impacts, we had to find a solution, which renewable energy has to address on the ground. So in this case, most of the pathways that we looked at had, of course, to look at, energy access. And we also had to look about food production, of course, and as well as any industrial application that would use renewable energy to actually, solve the problems that we have mentioned. So we also had to deal with the issue of, the food and energy water nexus, because as I told you, the lake had no fish. So it means for us to be, for this project to run, economically and viably, we also had to look at this issue because it's quite critical. So to handle this issue, we had to look at innovative technology, and we also had to look at the policy and leadership in the sector, as well as to address entrepreneurship and investment. This is a community that had no any access to employment whatsoever. Everyone relies on being an entrepreneur to actually create income for their families. So it means bringing a renewable energy project like that had to ensure that we actually, boost the economic welfare of the community. So that's why entrepreneurship was a core, area. And in this case, women were our prime targets. Like we were talking earlier, issues of migration. Actually, it also happens here that the lifestyle of the people here in Mpanta village is that they have a lifestyle whereby during what we call the fish season, people migrate from their households, they go into the fishing camps, they stay there maybe, let's say, for 4 months. Then after that, they come back. When there's a fish ban, because the government implements what they call a fish ban for about 2 to 3 months, it means everyone has to come back from the fishing camps, and mostly it's the men. Then they get back to the same village and have to wait until the fish ban season is over. So during this time, again, you find that most of them would want to practice a few of agriculture. They again maybe shift. So that's the life. So we all had to deal with this issue. What happens with the women that are left behind and the children? Because most of them, they didn't have any source of income. And some men, when they go into the fishing camp, some even marry, according to the culture. And we had nothing. We had no control about the culture. So we had to see that we had all these areas to address so that this problem is, tackled on the ground. So basically, this is a project. The design is about 3-kilometer radius. The green area seen, that's a school ground. Then the project is just somewhere where it's a dot where it's in blue. Yeah, I'm sure most of you can see it. So when you look at the area we're looking at, is in Zambia. That's a Zambian map just there on top. And this is under the Rural region. Then the village in mention is the one dotted there in black. Yeah, so basically, of course, like I mentioned, that's the area where most of the people go in the fishing camps, and they like I said, they come back after 4 months. So basically, the first area of energy access, we looked at the project. It was 60 kilowatt after an initial survey of, looking at the demand and the total number of population on the area, which was about 450 to 500 households. we had to think of a project that would actually address the demand on the ground. So that's the solar field, and of course that's a power plant where everything is done, and the control room, and the 720 batteries, which is about 936 kilowatt hour. Kilowatt hour bank, and of course that's a distribution, which is about distributing to 3 villages in the radius of 3 kilometers. We connected things like schools, there's some shops, and also ordinary household, grass-thatched households, churches, and a clinic. Yeah. So there are also some harbour depths where most of the fish from the lake comes from. We also had to connect them. And we've been operating it the last 5 years. And of course, it's been run by the Kafita Cooperative, which is a social enterprise. We had to look of a model that would encourage, as a cooperative to have that, entrepreneurial spirit. And that's why a cooperative model was the one proposed. And this cooperative was actually formed in the same village, and they actually are our employers. And the Rural Electrification Authority, being an energy agency, had to sign a partnership so that they could run this project, then so that they get to a situation whereby they're able to be sustainable after ensuring that all these holistic approaches are addressed. So, basically that's that. So, what were the outcomes? Most of the outcomes, of course, after the 5 years that we implemented, had something to do with, we had looked at social, which had focused on people, we had to focus on the planet, and also focus on the profits in the village. So basically, these benefits, we had to ensure that they are really addressed. And coming to the area of the social benefits, of course, we saw a change, because now children are able to have access to, computer and ICT services. And, the cooperative had gained experience in terms of managing the project, because it's not an easy thing, a first thing in the country, and it comes and, there's just learning phase. And of course, a total of about 2,480 people were actually benefiting from the project. And of course, about 480 learners. Then we have the hospital or the clinic, which is also one of the beneficiaries, because they're able now to store vaccines to be able to supply all these people in the village. And also an improvement in terms of communication. Our country is running what they call a digital migration, whereby now every ordinary person on the ground can actually listen to their members of parliament, able to listen to the debates that are occurring. And this is encouraging, because long time ago it never used to happen. They never used to know what is happening in the city. So this is a good initiative. Now people are able to vote wisely. They're able to have a lot of information. So this was one of the encouraging things about the social impact. Then we had looked also on the environmental benefits. We had made tremendous efforts in ensuring that the people will reduce the carbon emissions in households. So the use of candles was completely eliminated. Of course, the issues of using of firewood for fish preservation was also reduced, because now we're able to make ice. So this made even business for the women, quite, attractive. And fresh fish actually is quite viable. It's quite a viable venture. Someone can actually pay for energy services for the whole year just through fish, fresh fish sales. So this is our hope actually in Mpanta, because we know that this is the main source. We have water, the resources, the land is so attractive for fish farming. And we had hoped that this should be the turning event for, the success and the reduction of the 91% poverty levels in this village. Yeah, so basically, these were the other economic benefits that we can mention. Of course, is the implementation of the corn processing mill, which was quite, a tremendous, achievement. This brought about a lot of, employment in the area, and also business ventures started to boom up, long hours of, operations, and of course, with the, the fish farming and the fish projects that we implemented, we ensured that there's that vibe, there's a local economy that is being created within the village to allow people to easily, trade their, to easily make money out of, this, renewable energy business. So lessons learned and challenges, of course, they are the usual, like, we have heard of most of them earlier. Of course, we need to listen to the needs, and also a business model should be, realistic. Forget about traditional methods. You can't, this is not, a business that you just go on using traditional business methods. It's quite different. And, all these areas that we look at. Then some other notable future prospects that we hope to see. Of course, the fish farming, like I mentioned, is one of our key areas that we want to, pay so much attention. And of course, we're looking at issues of food processing. We want to scale up our projects and of course encourage investment by the locals. They need to invest in this renewable energy project. And we need to ensure that we just support the people to learn how to be investors. It's good that in Europe people know how to invest. They know how to, the stock market. So we want to try out something like this, which has never happened before. We want people to trade in stocks. And this is possible because the cooperative model allows such kind of areas. Not everyone can do business. Not everyone can be entrepreneur. So we want to encourage a shift whereby people can be both entrepreneurs and also investors at the same time. So this is our future prospect for the cooperative. With these few remarks, I say thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Paul from Zambia. So interesting and holistic.